It's like
eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done?
Energetic Country 100.1 Moose FM.
This is the MarketsFarm.com morning show, broadcast number 45 for Friday, September 1st. I'm Adam Polishati. After two consecutive negative sessions, the ICE futures canola market is making gains on Friday morning, lifted by comparable oils. Markets in both Canada and the United States will be closed on Monday for the Labor Day holiday. Chicago soy oil and European rapeseed are both higher, while Malaysian palm oil is also up after returning from a holiday on Thursday. Crude oil is also in positive territory after Russia implied it will cut exports and China implemented more stimulus into its economy. The Canadian dollar is down more than 1/10 of a U.S. cent compared to Thursday's close. Statistics Canada announced earlier today that the economy shrank by an annualized rate of 0.2% in the second quarter. Temperatures in the high 20 degrees Celsius were forecast for Manitoba and Saskatchewan, while thunderstorms were expected for parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan later today. The November canola contract is up $7.20 per ton at $815.90. In the U.S., corn, soybeans, and wheat are all in positive territory. The U.S. Drought Monitor reported that as of August 29th, 45% of the country's corn production areas were under drought conditions, up 2 percentage points from the previous week. Temperatures in the U.S. Midwest were 3 to 6 degrees Celsius above normal during the week, with record highs recorded in Chicago, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, and Des Moines, Iowa. The costs of shipping grain from the U.S. Midwest have increased sharply due to lower water levels on the Mississippi River. Barge spot rates in St. Louis surged 49% from the previous week and 42% from 1 year earlier. South Korea is tendering for up to 69,000 tons of corn from optional origin. The December corn contract is up 4 U.S. cents per bushel at $4.82. The U.S. Drought Monitor reported that 40% of U.S. soybean production areas were under drought as of August 29th, 2 points more than the previous week. The trade is estimating June soy oil use to be 1.207 billion pounds, up 6% from May, and 8.81 billion for marketing year-to-date use, up 17% from last year. The November soybean contract is up 3 U.S. cents per bushel at $13.72. The United Nations sent Russia a list of proposals to restart the Black Sea Grain Initiative ahead of a meeting between Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday. A Russian diplomat, however, said that those proposals were rejected. The Argentine wheat crop was rated 19% good to excellent by the Buenos Aires Grain Exchange. Ongoing dryness in Argentina, Australia, and India are raising concerns over wheat production in those countries. The December Chicago wheat contract is up 8 U.S. cents per bushel at $6.10. The December Kansas City hard red wheat contract is up 17 U.S. cents per bushel at $7.45. The December Minneapolis spring wheat contract is up 8 U.S. cents per bushel at $7.75. That's a look at the ICE futures in U.S. markets for Friday, September 1st. In Winnipeg for MarketsFarm.com, I'm Adam Polishati. Have a great Labor Day weekend.
Hard work has never come so easy. That's what you'll say when you take on a job with a New Holland all-purpose tractor from Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John. Whether a Workmaster Utility, PowerStar, T5, or T6 tractor, you'll maximize your productivity with exceptional power, convenience, and comfort. Buy now and take advantage of 0% financing for 60 months or cash back on these 45 to 126 PTO horsepower models. Stop in today at Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John and see how easy hard work can be. Offer ends September 13th.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Welcome to this edition of the show. A little later on, we're going to be talking with Lana Neitz of the North Peace Ride for the Disabled about the summer they've had and some excellent events coming up in the fall season for them. But first, the Charlie Lake Conservation Society has had a busy summer with several events and an exhibit at the Fort St. John North Peace Museum. To chat a bit about what the Society is about and about the lake they've named themselves after, we're joined now by Society members Bruce Kosugi and Glynnis Maundrell. Bruce and Glynnis, welcome back to Moose Talks. I think you've both been here before, correct?
Absolutely,
yeah. Well, I'm really glad you're both here this morning. So for people who are hearing this for the first time and maybe don't know what the Society is about, can we start there? What's kind of your mandate? Why is there a society?
We are a little group of people, a little society, and we just are really interested in promoting this little gem we have sitting north of Fort St. John. Our main mandate is to do some information gathering about the lake and educate the public as best we can about what we discover, and just to promote it as a recreational site and a place to enjoy year-round.
And I know a lot of the things you do are sort of related to wildlife that's found around the lake, and even sort of the things in the lake. We're going to talk about the study, which talked a bit about the blue-green algae and whatnot in a bit, but that seems to be a lot of what you're doing as well. It's not just recreation, but get out, go for a walk, look at all the cool things you can find and see right in our backyard, essentially. Eh?
Yeah, its biodiversity at the lake is rich in the water and around the lakeshore. It's got a large watershed, and it's a very attractive place. It's got a lot of green space, and so it's an attractive area for all kinds of wildlife, from the large ungulates, elk, moose, deer, to the little tiniest reptiles. And then, of course, the lake itself is rich in fish. So, yeah, it's a great place to be if you want to experience wildlife.
Do you happen to know how old the society is? Has it been around quite some time at this point?
Since 97.
Oh, sorry, Bruce. Make sure you just speak right into the microphone there.
Sure. Since 1997.
Okay, so we're getting on close to 25, 30 years here now. So I want to get to this study that came out this year because, first of all, I was fascinated by just how long it took for this study to kind of get done. Tell me a bit about the study that came out this year and kind of what you found, if you don't mind, as briefly as you can.
So we did a presentation at the museum about a lot of the volunteer studies that have been going on for over 20 years. And we were building off some studies that the Ministry of Environment had started before. So we looked at water chemistry, we looked at plants in the lake, we looked at algae in the lake, and we tried to put that all together into what we think is happening with the lake, and to talk about some of the things that I think people have perceptions about the lake. But right off the bat, Charlie Lake is a mature lake. It's a eutrophic lake in terms of scientific terms, but that really means that it is a very productive lake in terms of wildlife, in terms of fish and plants. And I know that people have concerns about how the lake has changed, and we've seen that too in the time we've been around the lake. In the late 70s, early 80s, they put a weir in at the south end of the lake to raise the water level up, which was about a meter. And there were some significant changes that happened all around the lake. Primarily, it was, the disappearance of the aquatic plant beds all around the lake, because we think it was erosion kind of smothering the plant beds.
I see.
And so people were used to having a lake without a whole lot of plants in it. And at that time, people were quite concerned that all of a sudden, there's this massive change. But around 2010, I think things started stabilizing, erosion was settling down, and those aquatic plant beds started coming back to where we see now we've got aquatic plants all around the lake. So Glynnis and I and some volunteers have been doing some studies over the past 5 years of what's happening with the aquatic plants. And some of the things that we've seen is there's a change in the variety of plants. And now the predominant one is something called Alodia, or Canada pondweed, that, people will recognize. But there's other plants in the lake as well, and they're starting to reappear. So there's an equilibrium that's trying to happen in the lake. So that's the major change that people have seen, who have been on the lake for a little bit. There were plants, there weren't plants, now there are plants again. But the other thing is those plants are always changing.
Yeah.
in front of Glynnis's place, and she can tell you, she's noticed some incredible changes.
Yeah, for a long time there were no plants in front of my place, and then for a couple of years there were dense mats, and the last 2 years there have been nothing. So you just wonder, what are the variables that nature throws out there that we don't know anything about, right?
Yeah. Do you, I mean, I guess that kind of begs the question, do you have an idea of why that might have happened that way? Or is it just, as sort of Bruce, you were saying, the lake's trying to kind of come to an equilibrium after even now 30-something years on, or 40 years on, I should say, from when the lake's kind of level rose by a meter. It's still sort of trying to figure out what's going on, essentially.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, over the last 5 years, the lake itself, we have weather changes a lot, like 2019, 2020, it poured rain all summer long. The lake levels were very high. There was a lot of siltation in the lake in 2020.
Yeah.
And then this year, the lake level is extremely low. There's been very minimal runoff into the lake at all because of the sort of drought conditions around. So again, nature throws these things out to us, and we are just observers of that. And the formula is unknown to us at this time.
Yeah.
Change is part, nature is change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to talk a bit about the algae, because I remember we did a story on this at energeticcity.ca recently. And I think this goes to sort of what you said. Some people have some preconceived notions about Charlie Lake. Well, the algae, it turns out, is actually not toxic in the same way that it might be when it appears in other lakes, right?
Yeah. So the algae in Charlie Lake has been around for a long time. And they know from sediment studies that the lake has been very productive, which means that there's algae and plants and fish. So the blue-green algae, which is really a cyanobacteria, not a true algae, is the one that people are concerned about. It's the one that, it looks like if there's a dense collection of this algae that blows into an area, it's pretty ugly looking, and it may look like someone spilt like turquoise paint on top of the water as it starts decomposing. So in other lakes, blue-green algae can be toxic. And we did a 2-year study that was funded by the regional district. And we wanted to look at what are the types of algae and are there toxins present. So we measured microcystin, which is one of the toxins that they routinely measure. And we were happy to see that those levels were low. So for now, we don't have the same sort of problem that they do in some of the other lakes around North America.
I see. Can you explain again why that might be, why the same sort of bloom might happen here of this bacteria, as you say, that happens at other lakes, but for some reason here we're not seeing the toxins that we do see in other? Is there an explanation for why that might be? Are you able to say why that is?
No, they really don't have a good handle on why some of the same strains can be toxic in one place and not toxic in another. And people have also seen changes in the level of blue-green algae. So, for example, this year, we haven't seen as much as in previous years. Part of that may be because it's been so dry and we don't have a lot of runoff. We don't have a lot of nutrients and sediment coming into the lake that may affect it. The other thing, the plants that are growing around the lake take nutrients up that the algae used to have full access to.
I see.
And I remember in the early 2000s, before the plant beds were established, there were a few days in the summer where it was green all across the lake. Whereas now you'll get green in the bays. You'll get some that you can see in the water column, but not a thick layer that we had before the plants.
Interesting. So essentially, if we keep kind of promoting, and I wonder if this is part of why you do this, but if we see those plant beds come back and we sort of work to make sure that they keep coming back more and more, we're likely going to see less of this bacteria because it won't have the nutrients in the same way. Or is it again sort of like, well...
It's sort of one of those things in theory, but we don't know for sure. And that's why the monitoring piece is important to us. Blue-green algae are becoming an increasing problem across North America.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more research being paid attention to this. So we're going to try and stay on top of what's happening elsewhere, make contacts where we can. The BC Lake Stewardship, which Bruce is active in, are also, dealing with this in southern areas of British Columbia where they haven't really had these concerns before. So again, it's that trying to stay on top of the research and trying to keep the observations going on in our own lake, and try and connect the dots and just keep the public informed. They always have to, where you see blue-green algae, we always say, use caution and use good sense. Use the safety protocols that are out there. They're posted at the lake. And if it's really bad in one place, there's lots of places around the lake. It won't be so. Go see if you can find a place where it's not blooming. That's what we recommend to people.
All right. Yep. This is fascinating. Which is to say, I don't have a lot of time left, so we're going to have to zip through a couple things now. The exhibit at the North Peace, or the Fort St. John North Peace Museum, on till the middle of September. There's a lot of this information that's available there, and that's kind of what's on display at the museum, correct?
We have had thankful to the museum. They have given us this wonderful opportunity to just highlight the lake. And it has been a wonderful experience. We've been really busy with this summer. We just wanted to make it kind of an interactive, informative place to be. And we're really grateful for the opportunity. So we're going to take it down middle of September. And hopefully people have visited it, especially with their little ones. We wanted to make it an interactive things for families. That was kind of our focus, is for families to go and just get to know it a little bit better. And I don't know. Yeah,
we've really appreciated the support from Heather and the museum, and we've had great partnerships certainly with the Fort St. John Public Library, BC Parks. Moose has been a great supporter of ours as well. And we're looking to do a few activities in the fall, winter as well, possibly a star watching night with the Whiskey Jack Nordic Ski Club.
Nice.
And so stay tuned to our Facebook page, and we'll have events next year as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm really thankful that both you took a few minutes to drive up here and do this with me this morning. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And thank you so much, Glynnis.
Thank you. It's been great to be here.
That's Glynnis Maundrell and Bruce Kosugi with the Charlie Lake Conservation Society. We'll be right back to talk to Lana Neitz of the North Peace Ride for the Disabled right after this on Moose Talks.
Every month, your furry friend can win a $100 credit to the North Peace Veterinary Clinic. All you have to do is get the perfect pose of your pet and upload it from the 1st to the 14th at moosefm.ca/win. On the 15th, voting starts, and by month end, your fur baby can be crowned Pet of the Month.
Moose FM and the North Peace Veterinary Clinic want to see all your fluffy, scaly, and feathery pets every month. moosefm.ca/win to enter.
The 7th Annual Rotary Drive-Thru Breakfast is this September 7th from 7 to 11 a.m. in the Safeway parking lot. A $12 donation will get you a hot grilled ham and egg sandwich with a side of fruit, granola, and a hot coffee. Proceeds supporting local Rotary projects in Fort St. John and the North Peace. Businesses and residents can pre-order now by calling 403-793-0485. Grab your breakfast on September 7th from 7 to 11 a.m. in the Safeway parking lot. Proudly supported by 100.1 Moose FM.
The Work BC Fort St. John Job Fair is looking for exhibitors. On October 26th, your company can find the right people you need to fill job openings at the Work BC Fort St. John Job Fair. FSJJobfair.ca is where you can register as an exhibitor or call us at 250-787-7100. The Work BC Fort St. John Job Fair is happening on October 26th at the Pomeroy Hotel and Conference Center. Become an exhibitor today. FSJJobfair.ca is where you can register or call us 250-787-7100.
Windows, window coverings, windshields. At Alpine Glass Windows and Doors, we do it all. Class up your room with powered smart blinds from Hunter Douglas, or come see our selection of Hunter Douglas roller shades, fabrics, and cellular shades. Need to update your windows and doors? Alpine Glass is your source for Geldwin and Plygem windows and doors. Plus, when it comes to windshield repairs and replacements, we handle ICBC claims for you. To learn more, visit alpinewindows.ca or give us a call at 250-785-6409.
Thanks to your support, Pro North Heating has established itself as the top source of in-stock heating, OEM, and universal parts in Canada. From now through December, Pro North Heating is doing some giveaways. Enter to win their monthly draw with every in-store purchase and stop in and see their newly renovated store on Old Fort Road, or shop their full inventory at pronorthheating.com. Pro North Heating, serving Fort St. John and surrounding area since 2012.
Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Dub Craig. Now we're here to talk a bit about the North Peace Ride for the Disabled. They do some very cool things, and you may have run into some of the volunteers with the society over at the Fall Fair recently. They were helping with parking, if I remember right. Anyway, to talk a bit about what they do and some ways that maybe you can get involved in this in the coming fall season, we're here to talk with Lana Neitz with the North Peace Ride for the Disabled. Lana, welcome to Moose Talks.
Thank you for having me here.
I'm really grateful you took a few minutes to chat with us today. So I'll start with the same question I started with the Conservation Society. Tell us a bit about what the North Peace Ride for the Disabled is and does.
Okay. Well, we are a program that we do weekly horse riding for people with various disabilities, limitations, and we put them on horses, walk around the arena. It is just, fabulous.
I see. Is this like, well, first of all, how old how long has this been around for, if you happen to know?
One of the longest programs around here, I think. In 1984, we actually started up.
Oh, okay. And was this like a need that you identified? Like, was there a lot of people who said, I'd love to get on a horse, even though it might be harder for me to do it than, say, a regularly able person.
It is, because it's the only program of its type in our region.
Yeah.
And so, yes, in 1984, there was a group of, let's say, caregivers, parents, families working alongside with the Child Development Center. And again, they came up with an idea and worked out of the Light Horse Association for many, many years. And it was again, incredible that we have so many people that this is their weekly activities. It's a recreational thing. It's also a social activity for people with disabilities.
Yeah. Is it like something that runs all day, kind of, say, 5 days a week or whatever? Or is there kind of specific times which would help with the social aspect? Everyone gathers and then everyone goes for a ride.
Okay. Well, we actually only operate on Wednesdays.
I see. Okay.
Wednesday evenings. So we start in our rides actually in October, and we go through every Wednesday through to the end of April.
I see.
And we have a group that comes in, starts at 3 o'clock, getting the horses ready, grooming the horses, getting the saddles on, warming them up. The first group of riders show up at 5 o'clock, and then we have riders every half hour.
I see. Okay. How many horses are kind of running at once then? Is it just one at a time, or is there a few?
We have 6 to 8 horses that we can accommodate in the facility. We operate out of Sunset Stables in Baldonnel.
I see.
And so we can do 6 to 8 riders at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, some of these riders have cerebral palsy or wheelchair or mobility issues. We have a specialized sling that we are able to pick the people out of their wheelchairs, put them on that horse, and we have a specialized equipment to hold them onto into the saddles to take them around the course.
Fascinating. So it's sort of it keeps them in the saddle, I suppose.
Absolutely.
It's like a special saddle, I
Yes.
guess. Hey? And then how many people would you say on average you see every Wednesday then, just in total?
Well, last year we did have 24 riders. We had 6 horses going each session. And then as well, we're needing many volunteers.
Yeah.
We need people to be sidewalkers, making sure that the person is seated correctly or staying safe. We have riders that have epilepsy or may, again, have a seizure, and we have to remove them out of the saddle safely. So again, we have to do training for our volunteers of how to deal with that sort of situation. Also need people to lead the horses around, people to clean up the facility, keep it nice and neat, follow around the horses, do the pooper scooping, whatever's required. That's what we're needing.
Are the horses, and I apologize if this is a silly question, I know nothing about horses, but are the horses, have they sort of been trained to be a part of this in some way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do a training session for the horses. We've hired 2 young ladies to be our ride coordinators this year. They have a lot of horse sense, and horses need to have a proper conformation or attitude, I guess. You don't want somebody too spirited in there. So they will go through each of the horses. Now, not to say that our horses are old, kind of plodding along pack horses, but they are trained to, if there is a noise, they're not going to spook. If a pole or something gets knocked over, they're not going to startle. So they're very, very calm. They might be a little bit older, but they're very used to being around a lot of people. So that really, really helps with our program.
I see. And are some of the horses, have they been around for a bit and been a part of the ride for some time as well?
Absolutely. We try to use the same horses each year. We're always having new horses. So again, some riders get used to having a certain horse, Ginger, from the year before. And sorry, the Ginger's out to pasture this year, so I'm not going to be riding. So again, we pair each rider up with a horse that they usually ride throughout the season.
I see. Okay.
And just so they get more comfortable with it.
And it probably helps if they develop a bond kind of with each other.
They do, actually.
Yeah.
The horses know their riders, and the riders really look forward to seeing their horse.
Awesome. Well, you've already sort of mentioned kind of a bit about the volunteer opportunities, because as you said, this will be starting up again in October through till April. So, people listening right now say, I can help out a night a week or whatnot. Again, tell us what sort of things they can do and what they need to do to get in touch to get trained up to do it.
Well, we're actually on Sunday, September 24th, we are hosting a Welcome Back Wagon Ride. Now, this is for people that are interested in volunteering, people who think they could benefit from maybe being a rider. Also, all our returning riders and volunteers. So it's really nice. We haven't seen everybody or some of them since we shut down in April. So it's a chance to get everybody back together. We have a little barbecue, do some wagon rides. We have a work bee that day, get the arena all ready. And so again, there's going to be that opportunity. It'll be posted on our Facebook page, North Peace Ride for the Disabled. So again, Sunday, September 24th, we usually run that from 11:30 to 3:30.
Okay, so just show up if you're interested, and you'll kind of find out you can go from there.
That's right. Okay. Our other time as well, we do have a volunteer orientation, because as I mentioned, we need to show everyone the do's and don'ts about the horses and some of the riders, how to operate the lift to put the people on the horses. So that session is going to be Wednesday, October 4th from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Again, come to Sunset Stables in Baldonnel. We do have signs posted. It's on the road just past the Baldonnel Elementary School. Hang a right and head down the road. Beautiful drive, and you'll find us.
Awesome. Well, Lana, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with us today. Thanks so much for coming by.
I loved it. It was great. Thanks for having us. And again, anybody wants to sponsor or volunteer, or if someone who could benefit to be a rider, please again contact us on the Facebook page, or again, we'll see you at the block party.
Excellent. Again, that's all. Lana Neitz, Lana Neitz with the North Peace Ride for the Disabled. We'll be right back to wrap things up on Moose Talks right after this.
I love this picture of us.
Me too, honey. Oh my gosh, we should enter the cutest couple contest.
Oh, heck yeah, we should. I have the app downloaded and I'm entering right now.
Think you're the cutest couple? Enter this month's cutest couple package and you could win a $450 prize package. Cutest Couple is presented by Michael So Jewelry, Brad's Furniture and Appliances, Veronica's Closet, and Fostering Smiles Dental Hygiene.
Moose Country weather.
We're going to expect 22 degrees today, but we do have a special air quality statement in effect right now. Smoky air, so just stay safe. Same goes for tomorrow. High of 20, smoky air and skies throughout the day. And on Sunday, we're going to see a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 16.
Our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
Our thanks to our guests Bruce Kosugi, Glynnis Maundrell, and Lana Neitz for joining us today. If you'd like to hear this episode again, or if you'd like to hear an old episode of Moose Talks, make sure you check out the energeticcity.ca podcast page. You'll find past episodes of this show, along with episodes of Secrets of the North, Before the Peace, and Voices of the Peace, archived for your listening pleasure. You get an extra day off this weekend. Why not spend it listening to podcasts over at energeticcity.ca/podcasts. That's our show. Trey Lopashinsky and Jordan Prentice are the producers of Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace.